Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. So during this video we are going to take a look at one of my more recent customs, the Spider Hulk. So yeah, what can I say about this figure? This was done on one of the more recent Hulk bodies. I think it might have been the 80th anniversary version or maybe the Red Hulk, I can't quite remember. I picked up a couple really cheap when they first came out, and this one I did actually originally use for a Maestro figure, and then obviously Hasbro released their version, and then so I took this one, stripped this one back, and turned him into Spider Hulk. So there's not a huge amount that I can tell you about this. The only actual tooling that I did was on the head. I just used a bit of the green stuff putty, and obviously gave him a mask and ripped that through so that you could still see his chin and his mouth. Now obviously we've had a Spider Hulk figure in the past, this was back in the Toy Biz days, but if you ask me it does look very dated now in comparison to some of the newer legends, especially compared to some of these Hulk figures that have come out more recently, although it does still hold a very high retail price to get it on the second-hand market, it still holds its value. So yeah, let me just move this over and then we'll do the 360 video. So I'll just have the figure here and I'll just do a 360 video next to it so that you can see him in his entirety. Now there isn't a lot to be said, I just repainted him. So I repainted his trousers to match the Spider-Man kind of blue, and then I just painted the details on the top half. As I said, the only actual sculpting I did was on the head where I made the mask and just covered up Hulk's eyes, smoothed it so that it was round, and then obviously painted the Spider-Man details on there. To create the kind of ripping look, all I did was I just painted some green scratches on there and then just outlined that in kind of a zigzaggy white to give the feel of a ripping effect, obviously. I didn't actually plan where I was going to put the rips, I just kind of had a look at it and decided that I was going to just put them as I felt. Yeah, so I think he turned out quite well. He definitely holds up well next to the more modern legends and gives us a more modern version of the Spider Hulk. Now I'm sure at some point we're going to see a re-release of this figure because, as I said, it is a very popular one from the kind of Toy Biz catalogue. And not a lot of people can get hold of him because he is such an expensive figure to get. So I'm sure at some point with this awesome Hulk mould that we've got, the guys at Hasbro are obviously going to be a little bit limited as to the different colours that they can put out now, because we've had red, grey, green, we've had 80th, we've had San Diego Comic Con exclusive, so, and then obviously more recently we had the Maestro figure as well. So I'm sure that we're going to get a Spider Hulk at some point. The only kind of criticism I have is obviously I didn't do anything to the trousers, so if you do look carefully you can sort of still see the jean effect, like the pockets on his back. I did sand them down a little bit, but I didn't put a huge amount of work into them, just because I think when it's on the shelf, when it's photographed, you're not really going to tell. So yeah, so that was it. Oh, and I did paint the fingernails and the toenails as well, because on some of the Hulk figures they're the same colour as the feet and hands, and on some they are painted, and I think they look better when they're painted. Here he is next to the more recent retro Spider-Man, so you can see that I colour matched the colours pretty well. I don't think, you know, they're not an exact match, but next to each other they definitely look like the same person, if you ask me. Slight variation in the design. Obviously I gave him the kind of pointed down sort of triangle look on his belt, whereas obviously you can see the retro carded Spider-Man doesn't have that. Now I did do some photography with this guy over on my Instagram account, so I'm just going to go through that now. So here's a little kind of montage video of the setup that I used. I used a diorama that I built, which is just kind of a broken wall. I used some of the fog effect. I used a couple of broken bricks and bits and bobs there as well, and basically just put him in the hole of the wall so it looks like he's kind of broken through, and you can see here that it just kind of works quite well. So here's a bit of a closer look on the 360. Here's a bit of a closer look at the diorama as well. But yeah, all in all, I mean, he's a really cool figure. I'm really pleased to have him on my shelf, and he's definitely one that I've been thinking about doing for a while. So when I had that spare Hulk body, it was one that I was like, you know what, hands down, let's get this one done. Let's actually get to, this is actually a video that I used on my Instagram just to show off the photography. And here's the picture, here's the final picture. So I put a flame effect in the background. As I said, I've got a couple of like bits of shrapnel and stuff as well. So yeah, thanks very much for tuning in. I hope this was informative. If you've got any questions, drop them below, and don't forget to share and subscribe.